I'd like to call to order this meeting of the Susquehanna Township Board of Commissioners. I would note that all commissioners are present, including caller 01. In case anybody wants to know, I believe that might be Mr. Fred Valona. Fred, are you there? Maybe Fred's not here yet, but he will be joining. He was with us in executive session. And we did meet in executive session, discuss matters of personnel and real estate. At this point, we'll have the Pledge of Allegiance followed by a moment of silence, and if the pledge tonight can be led by Commissioner Rocky Rothrock, I appreciate that.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Welcome, everybody. I'd like to get into first petitions, complaints, suggestions from citizens. Does anybody wish to address the board tonight? Yes.
Should I approach?
Yes, please.
All right.
State your name, address, and we'll try to keep your comments to 3 minutes.
I will do my best. Good evening, council members. My name is Anthony Aquiller. I reside at 305 North 39th Street. I'm actually here on behalf of several residents in that surrounding neighborhood, specifically in regard to the problems that have arisen from 303 North 39th Street. For the past few years since this family moved in, they have caused the neighborhood stress and anxiety through numerous actions to include consistently loud music amplified through outdoor speakers, 6 dogs that bark for over an hour at a time, having the dogs run through neighboring yards, and not cleaning up their own dog's feces, allowing it to sit for weeks or days on end so that it can be smelled from the sidewalk. Primarily, now that we're moving into nicer weather, the music issue is the most pressing, and I have come in hopes of altering the noise ordinance. Currently, it states, section 6-703, the following acts are declared to be a noise disturbance in violation of this part occurring during the period of time set forth in this section. Subsection A, operating or permitting the use of or operation of any radio set, etc., other things that can be played, including but not limited to devices utilizing digital technology for the production or reproduction of sound. Subsection 1, between the hours of 9 and 7, etc., I think that's fair, doesn't need change. Subsection 2, if such noise exceeds the ambient noise level by greater than 15 decibels for more than 10% of the measurements period which at any point within the property affected by the noise. When the noise emanates from a public right-of-way or public space, it goes on to talk about public space noise issues. Ending that section, it says, for the purpose of this section, the ambient noise level shall be measured when the source is not operating. It doesn't seem like any of the officers know how to enforce this ordinance because of the terminology utilized in this ordinance. I will explain later. If you jump down to subsection H, the noise from any of the aforesaid prohibited acts that disturbs 2 or more residents in general agreement as to times and duration of the noise who reside in separate residences, including apartments and condominiums located across the property line or boundary from the property on which the source of the noise is generated, shall be prima facie evidence of noise disturbance. I have the pleasure of being next door to 303 North 39th Street. Their music, almost daily, is loud enough to shake my windows. By every source I found from any website or scientific article, 15 decibels is classified as a whisper. We've called numerous times about this issue, only for officers to declare they, quote, didn't think it was loud enough, even when 2 or more houses were called on the same day. On such occasions, the bass alone could be heard from a block away, let alone the entirety of the music playing. Officers that have responded to such complaints have consistently come up with excuses to utilize their discretion to cater to the persons committing these violations, rather than serving the community affected by these violations. It would seem as though rather than solving a neighborhood-wide problem, officers would rather try to establish more evidence not to hold these violators accountable to the detriment of this neighborhood. This situation has now escalated beyond a simple noise ordinance violation and is now a matter of disorderly conduct based on the continued actions and repeated warnings they have received. On another such occasion, police made contact, provided another warning, only for the residents to turn the volume up louder and play F the Police among other anti-police and profane music, specifically in defiance, with no action taken by police. I made police aware that this action was occurring, only for the suspects to be issued another warning. I'm unsure if officers are unaware of the incredibly low volume that 15 decibels is defined as, or if there is another reason, but I would request that section 6703 subsection A2, the one that I read, either be reworded into plain language so that the citizens of Susquehanna Township can live in peace when there is one resident of a neighborhood who has no consideration for those around them, or that officers be retrained on this language so it's better to serve the township residents. I'd be happy to answer any questions based on this, but that's all I have.
Okay. I don't think that's necessary, but Manager Eberly, if you could get in touch with Rob, Lieutenant back there, and just go over the complaints and underscore how important it is. And can you give your information to Manager Eberly, please? Sure. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Or you could talk to your commissioner,
Sounds good.
who happens to be me.
I hope this meeting generates some sort of action. I'm not trying to be intolerant. We've lived next to these people for 3 years. We started calling at the beginning of this year because of the dogs. We've met with them personally. I've reached out to them individually, spoken to these neighbors, and time again, although they immediately turn the music off or they bring the dogs in, I'm tired of having to go over myself, which prompted us to involve the police, thinking that an escalation of force, whether it be a citation or even a warning, would cause them to change their behavior, and it has caused it to get worse.
Well, thanks for bringing that to our attention.
Of course.
Anybody else wish to address the board tonight? Okay, hearing none, get into approval of minutes from our April 10th Board of Commission regular meeting.
Mr. President, I'd like to approve the April 10th, 2025 Board of Commissioners regular meeting minutes.
Second. Moved and seconded, comments or questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Presentations. Manager Eberly, you want to tee this off?
Thank you, Mr. President. Gladly. In front of you is a resolution concerning the acknowledgement of Arbor Day. Oh, no, I'm sorry. And waste. I was busy doing this. I got distracted. So we've been in touch with Penn Waste. They are our current hauler. And as we get ready to go into our bid negotiations, we thought it would be a good idea for Penn Waste to come in and talk about what's happening in the community, what things we might expect to see, and some concerns that have to be addressed potentially in our next bid round. So Aaron's here today to go through what they're seeing and how that might impact us as we move forward into our next contract.
Good evening. Thank you for having us here to allow us to present information to you regarding the changes that are happening in our industry. So our introduction here, we are a locally operated waste hauler. We've been serving the South Central Pennsylvania area for 25 years. We've been servicing this area, partnered with you guys for the past 10 years, which has been a very enjoyable relationship. We've enjoyed servicing the area and this community.
Can you move that closer to you?
Oh.
It's on.
It's on. Yeah,
Sorry, Aaron.
that's okay.
He was having trouble hearing you.
The next thing I'd like to address, industry trends. So over the past decade, we've had a lot of changes happen within the waste hauler industry. The first one being an increase in automation, which involves these lovely carts sitting over here. That is helped improve greatly with efficiency and safety. We no longer, when we can automate, we no longer have to have a person riding on the back of a vehicle, hopping off, grabbing bags that you potentially don't know what's in them, injuries, those sorts of things. and it allows us to be out there for a shorter period of time. The technological advancements that have gone along with automation, we've been allowed to utilize things such as GPS, which helps us navigate areas and again, operate more efficiently. We can tell where our trucks have been. So when customers do call in, we can give them information that, no, you've not been missed, the truck hasn't been there yet, things like that. It has also helped to reduce emissions because again, we're efficient, we're going, we come back in, we're not around on the streets as long as we were because we have this navigation and this technology that we can use. It has improved the overall quality of service as well. Another thing that's impacted the industry has been stricter environmental regulations. This has pushed our industry to be more sustainable, to increase recycling rates and try and encourage everybody to recycle, and the implementation of waste energy solutions as well. We've seen market fluctuations in our industry. This has been a global fluctuation. We face challenges such as like reduced demand for recyclables. The demand for different materials has changed. Some of them are more wanted than others, so then we've had to deal with that, as well as higher contamination rates. We try to educate our customers as far as what is recyclable and what to put in there. Sometimes that doesn't get followed, and then we end up with contaminated loads that our buyers don't want. So that comes back to us. Another thing that we have faced has of course been the effect of the pandemic. Nobody has gotten away from that. The waste industry has not as well. This unfortunately has come down to worker shortages, disruptions in supply chains, and then changes in how we have to operate to accommodate still being able to serve the public while we have these shortages going on. So together, all of this has driven us to become more efficient with our waste collection and hauling. We faced a number of challenges in this industry. The first one has been rising costs for residential trash. Every municipality has seen this. This has been nationwide and it is attributed to several factors. Inflation and our operational costs. Other industries have been affected by this as well. Our main costs are going to be our fuel, labor, and also insurance. After the pandemic, insurance skyrocketed for us, so it was a huge jump. We've also seen workers' compensation claims, equipment maintenance, and it's had a direct impact on the collection services. We faced recycling challenges, as I discussed before. The market has had some disruptions, including the change in demand for recyclables and what is bringing in more, what is bringing in less. There's also been increased waste generation. The volume that households are producing now is significantly more than it has been. Businesses and everything, it continues to rise. So managing this requires a different approach, which automation absolutely helps with. It makes us much more efficient. Lastly would be the pandemic, which that also exposed problems in the waste industry. So we've had to offer increased wages and bonuses to attract and retain employees in this industry. These are all the factors that have led to the higher pricing for waste collection. So why automated collection? There are several reasons that this method of collection is better. First is safety. As I addressed, we don't have somebody riding on the back of the truck. So there's not traffic to deal with. There's not shoulder, knee, neck injuries from throwing bags and things like that. It's made us more efficient. We're able to collect easier, quicker, and get the job done and be off the road, which helps with traffic and everything too. We're not a truck out there backing things up, mid-morning or late afternoon. It's increased, it's led to lower turnover. The job's become a little bit easier to do, since they're not throwing heavy bags and dealing with messes and things like that. So it's encouraged people to stay with the industry a lot longer than they have. And lastly would be the reduced emissions, because we're on the road less, that's less that we're putting into the air with our vehicles. Changes that you can expect with carts. So automated waste collection does offer numerous benefits. With these carts, it does reduce street litter because there's not animals or anything like that that are gonna rip open bags and, tear things all over. And this also is a reduces the risk for our drivers and our loaders, as well as residents. If trash does come out of bags and get scattered all over, and you have that in the roadways, cars and stuff trying to navigate that is not always a good thing. The wheeled containers are easy to handle. They do move very well. They're fairly lightweight. They come in a variety of sizes, so they definitely work well. With going cart mandated, the residents are limited to what will fit inside the cart. So that does seem to help make residents a bit more responsible for the waste that they are generating and how they're disposing things. It encourages some recycling as well, because they only have that certain space to put their waste in. I have examples here of the can sizes. So 35 gallons is our smallest. That's typically suitable for an individual or maybe a two-person household. You can fit either one large 32-gallon bag in it or about 2 of the kitchen bags that most people use. The 65-gallon, that will hold about 4 kitchen bags, or about the same, the 2 32-gallon bags. And it's suitable for a 3 to 4 person household. Most people tend to go with the 96-gallon. It'll hold the 3 32-gallon bags and approximately 7 of your white kitchen bags. That's suitable for households of 4 to 6. So we find that a lot of families choose that option. More single individual homes choose like a 35-gallon option because that's what they require. So this is how the side loader trucks work. What happens is the truck will go up to a stop, the arm will come out and grab the can, and then it dumps it into the truck. So it is much cleaner and neater. That is a video. If you click on the truck, you should be able to play that. I love this video.
Well, my sheet doesn't do that.
I'm sorry, we'll work on that.
Just click
We'll
on it
figure
again.
that out.
Keep clicking.
So you'll see the arm's gonna come out and grab, it dumps it, and then it puts it back down in place, and they continue on to the next stop. They are really interesting. It's operated, the driver operates by a joystick, and there's cameras in there so you can watch every step of the way where they're picking it up. It does take quite a bit of training for these guys to learn to use them. Initially, some people think like, oh, that's super easy. It is not super easy. It's definitely a skill for them to use that, but our guys are great at their job. And so by seeing that, you can see how that would reduce the physical strain and the need for labor, being as you just have a driver in that vehicle. Okay. So we do have quite a few other cart mandated municipalities. Lower Paxton, probably closest to you guys. They're one of our biggest cart mandated municipalities. York Township down in York County, Manchester Township also in York County, and West Manchester Township. They are probably our newest carted municipality in that area, and the feedback's been great. People have definitely been happy with the carts and what it provides. They're easy to store. So it's definitely been a good change for the industry for sure.
Don't you have Susquehanna Township too?
Yes, we do have Susquehanna.
Because that's mandated.
They are
as
cart
well.
mandated as well,
Okay, yeah.
yes. Okay, and so the billing options for this, there's pretty much two billing options. Is one, the municipality can bill the residents. Sometimes that will lead to a cheaper cost. So there is a potential savings there. And with this option, Penn Waste would still take the customer service calls as we do now. The second option is that we would continue to bill, we would continue to take the customer service calls. However, we are requesting that we be allowed to suspend and cease collection on accounts that do not pay after a certain period of time. Generally industry-wide, we are asking for municipalities to consider that, as it can be quite a toll when we have customers that simply refuse to pay.
What happens if there's a buildup of garbage and you're not collecting?
That is why some municipalities we're asking for consideration of it. Generally, once garbage isn't collected, we do start seeing them, call in to see what's going on, and we do get payment, or we are able to make arrangements with them, or your township ordinance, and not having the ability to have garbage laying around, you as a township can pursue that further as well, and may have more options than we do as far as getting them to pay that bill.
Right, what happens to the garbage?
They wouldn't collect it during the time they're unpaid. As soon as the bill is paid, they would be collected then. And it all would be whatever's sitting there would be taken then.
Okay.
And I do believe that is all I have. If there's any questions, I'd be happy to answer those for you guys.
How would residents get one of those?
So we would deliver those. Once it is decided on, we would send out education to residents as far as what is going to happen, and a third-party contractor that we have would deliver to all residents. Generally, how that works, you guys have two different services right now, kind of a basic service and a lower volume service. The basic service would end up getting the larger, the 96-gallon trash can. Low volume service would be delivered a 35. Once everything is initially delivered, if there was any reason that somebody needed to make a switch, there would be a grace period that there could be a switch made.
What do you do with the existing cans? Are you removing those, or?
So if there's existing personal cans, we would not take those from the resident. If there's existing cans as far as rentals, the resident would just go ahead and keep that. We wouldn't deliver a new one unless there's something, unless it's broken or damaged in some way.
Actually, to follow up on that, I had reviewing this issue, and it gave me some pause on what Steve was talking about. Like, we already do the recyclable automated now as Penn Waste.
Correct.
Assuming Penn Waste won the next contract, from what I see, many of the recyclable bins are in perfectly good condition. Mm-hmm. Would there be an opportunity for customers to just decline the new bin until theirs gets, like if you had a record of it? I just don't want to generate, it just bothers me that we would generate a lot of waste. Collecting, say, 10,000 recyclable bins when 8,000 of them are in perfectly good condition.
Sure.
It just bothers me. I don't know if there's a way to work around that or not.
Sure, so new recycle bins would not be delivered. It would just be the trash. If anybody has a problem with their recycle bin, they could give a call into us, and we would, if there's a bar broken, there's a crack in it, the lid's missing, something such as that, then we would replace them.
What's your turnaround time for the call? To return that call?
It should be within 48 hours. It should be.
Not 48 months, but 48 hours.
Correct.
All right.
Correct.
And what's your name again?
My name is Erin. E-R-I-N. We'll be sure to get you taken care of.
Okay. And let me ask you something. If they spill while they're dumping that, and that's trash laying on the street, who cleans that?
That would be our responsibility.
The driver gets out and cleans?
We would have to send somebody back around and clean that up because that is our spillage. So we would have to take care of that mess that's created. Now, if a driver gets there and the trash can's already tipped over and laying there, then that would not be our responsibility. That would fall back to the resident to get that cleaned up.
Very good.
I have a question about alley collection. So how does the automated collection work in alleyways?
So in alleyways, that is where we would still likely utilize a rear load truck for that, because there are some areas that an automated truck is just not going to be able to get down. So there may be very small pockets where there has to be a rear load truck run or the much smaller pup truck to fit down those. But we could still, the rest of the township would still be automated then.
Okay. And then the other question I had is, how does the collection work, the automated collection, if there are vehicles parked on a street, if folks don't have off-street parking? And how do you collect them if there's like a wall of vehicles?
So that does become a little bit challenging. I do have a municipality that is carded that we work with where the driver will have to get out and pull the vehicle or pull the cart out to collect it. We try our very best.
Can you guys hear me okay?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Hi, I'm Sarah Lefevre with Penn Waste as well. I'm one of the operations supervisors. So I'm actually out on the street with the guys. So in those cases, like I used to service in Susquehanna Township and would run into that, the townhomes, they have small driveways, they have multiple vehicles. So we have the vehicles on the streets that we have to work around. Obviously, going cart mandated, there will be a training period where we try to train the residents, where we might need those cans. Obviously, it's not always going to be available to have that open space, but we do try to allow that learning curve to take place where we, can leave a sticker with the educational piece that the carts need to be, 3 feet away from a stationary object, be a mailbox, telephone pole, a vehicle.
Yeah, my
But in the
question
off
is
chance
for
that
homes,
there is just
Sarah.
no other option.
Sarah, my question is for homes that don't have that space. So if their vehicle is parked in front, or they have 2 vehicles parked in front, there's a small frontage. So they'd have to put it on somebody else's property if they were going to
I gotcha.
put it 3 feet away from a vehicle. It's the uptown area where there's some areas have small lots.
Right. Yeah, and I mean, we will work with those. Just because it's an automated truck doesn't mean that driver can't get out of that seat. If it's just a handful of people that don't have that space, we'll work with it. If it's going to be something that, we know is weekly and, say 30 homes down the stretch because there's no space, we'll work into that with the operations and use a rear load. Or like Aaron had said, possibly our pup truck if it's a tighter area. Because there is definitely, we did review that at the pre-bid meeting. There's definitely areas that we will still need to use a rear load truck in there.
Thank you. And I have another question. It's related to current service. Somewhere along the way, we went to where you have to call to schedule a pickup for a large item. So residents are just accustomed to, they have an item, they put it out, whether it's a sofa or just a small table or something. So somewhere along the way, it wasn't communicated in mass to residents.
Okay.
So I see a lot of large items just sitting out at the curb or in the alleys, mattresses and sofas, because residents don't know they have to call for a pickup because we didn't have to use to do that.
Okay.
I didn't know that.
There you go. And I guess an easier way to do it, I called for an item pickup myself, and I had to leave a message with all the details. Then someone called me back. I was at work. I missed their call. Then I had to call them back. And then when I did talk to them, I had to give them all the information again. So it's kind of a clunky process too. So people aren't aware, and then when you do call, it's kind of a hassle. So if there were an easier way to report it,
Those are some fine details I can address with our customer service, to just let them know what your thoughts are here, that this isn't a process that's working well as far as the call in and leave a message. Generally, when somebody calls you back, they should have all that, and the conversation should flow very simply and just be, I received your message for the couch, we have you scheduled for this date, and that should be the end of it. So I apologize that
yeah,
it
well,
was clunky there.
yeah, it's, and then the other thing, this is just some customer service feedback. So when folks put an item out, a large item, they'll take it apart. Like whether it's a large carpet, they'll cut it down in pieces, or if it's a piece of furniture, they disassemble it. Well, your drivers will pick up a piece of it because it's one item. So they've taken a carpet and cut it up for convenience so they can get it in the cart easily, and they'll take one piece of carpet and leave the rest there, even though it's originally one item. Or like I saw a crib, they took one piece of the crib. So just feedback, because then this sits in the yards, in the alleys for weeks as they pick it up piece by piece.
Sure.
So, I mean, a little common sense, if it looks like it's all one item, take it all.
Okay, yeah, I can definitely take that back to our team, because it's one large item. The crib is one large item, whether it's, in 4 pieces or
Yeah, exactly.
one. I mean, I understand having to break it down, probably, to get it out of the house and all that kind of stuff. So I will definitely take that back to our team and share that with them as well. I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Would it be best to use the email, like info@pawaste? I started to do that today.
Okay.
Just a suggestion. Email, that way I have a record of it when I sent it.
Yeah, email is a great option. It all gets funneled toward our customer service and then divided out amongst our reps. And then they follow up with those, get them scheduled, follow up with the customer, and the process should go from there. I find the email easier as well because I like records of things too. Sometimes, getting on the phone with customer service, depending on where you're at in your day, can be a little more challenging depending on our call volume and your time that you have to spend on that, particular topic.
Last question for me. If a customer lives in a townhouse, has a 1-car garage, he's delivered a 96-gallon can, he has to put his car in there, but that can is too big. Now he has to keep it outside, looks ugly. He can request a swap, correct?
Yes, after the initial delivery would be made, and everybody had received that, then there would be the availability to make a swap for a smaller one.
Can a customer opt out of the trash program?
Not here in Susquehanna, it's mandatory.
Okay, good answer.
I have a couple of questions.
Sure.
If I use a can, but if I have more trash, I leave a bag next to it.
Okay.
So under this mandated system, what would happen if I have more garbage than will fit in my can and I have to put it in a bag next to it? Is that going to get picked up?
Good question. So with the carts, it is limited to what will fit inside the cart. Outside of that, you could add into your bid specs for, for extra tags, to pay for that extra bag of trash to be taken, and then it would be taken in that way.
Okay. And second question, I actually have a can that has that handle device on it. Can I use that still?
No, with the cart mandated, a pen waste would distribute the cart. You would need to have your trash in a pen waste cart for the collection.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Going back to recycling, you mentioned about buyers might not be willing. Who are the buyers?
I am not familiar with exactly who our buyers are, but it goes through, so recycle goes over to our recycling center, it is sorted by our machinery, and then it is baled into your plastics, the aluminum, all that kind of stuff. They have specific buyers that take that and utilize it in whatever they do for that. I can contact the site manager at our recycling center and get you a little bit more information on that and send that over if you would like.
Oh, yeah, that would be good, sure.
Okay.
Thank you, Erin. That was great. It was good questions too, and
Yeah,
it sort of,
absolutely. Thank you, guys.
thank you. Sort of leads us to our next meeting on the 5th. Our trash committee has been meeting and has been working on our bid. And we've incorporated the suggestions that you're hearing tonight, as well as making a bid that is competitive price-wise, as well as, one of the things Erin did mention is that there's very few haulers in the business. So what you're seeing in the market is sometimes there may only be one hauler who bids on a contract. So we're kind of in that space where we need to make a bid that is attractive for haulers. We've sort of lost that advantage over 10 years. If you look back 10 years ago, it was a plethora of haulers. And the townships and municipalities are sort of in the driver's seat. That's not the case anymore. So you have to balance that out. And I just want to thank our trash committee for working diligently. It's not a good, easy topic to kind of grind through, but we've been doing it, and we'll have that proposal as a draft to you next week, but next meeting. And we're going to invite the residents to come in and look at the trash cans to see them, so they get an idea, because that's really one of the biggest things. And although Erin had mentioned there is a potential extra bag, some other haulers will not do extra bags. It's in the cart only. And if you, for example, happen to have more trash than you can accommodate in one of those sizes on a regular basis, you can always get another one. So there's no limit to that either.
You mean another can?
Yes, yes.
I can have two 96.
Yes, you could.
But I have three.
Yeah, or, I mean, it really, when it comes, a lot of people have a lot of recycling. And that's where that comes into, is just a lot of recycling. With cardboard, you'll fill up the 90, the 64 quickly. That's all I have, thank you.
All right. Thanks. Traffic studies, anybody want to bring anything to the attention of the board? All right, hearing none. Moving on to ordinances, resolutions. Resolution 2025-R06, designating Friday, tomorrow, April 25th, 2025, as Arbor Day, Susquehanna Township. You want to kick it off, Manager Arbor?
Thank you. I'll do this one again. It's round two. This resolution designates, as you say, Friday, the 25th as Arbor Day. And if I could, I'll just read some of the key elements in the resolution. First of all, President Theodore Roosevelt in 1907 issued the first Arbor Day proclamation to school children. And avowing that when you help to preserve our forests, to plant new ones, you are acting the part of good citizens, which is exactly what we try to do every single year. This particular year, it marks the 118th commemoratory of Arbor Day's designation. And Susquehanna Township is a member of the 10 Million Trees of Pennsylvania, which is a nonprofit partnership that was created in 2018 with the goal of planting 10 million trees in Pennsylvania as a portion of the Chesapeake Bay. So to commemorate the Arbor Day, we are having a celebration, and the celebration is the Covenant Christian Academy. Everybody's welcome, 8 a.m., everybody wants to show up. Part of the celebration is the township is providing these books. It's A Tree is Nice books to the Academy. And there's some other nice giveaways that will be happening, so we invite everybody to attend tomorrow at 8 a.m. We'll plant a tree, and it'll be a nice day.
I make a motion that we approve Resolution 2025-R06 to designate Friday, April 25th, 2025 as Arbor Day in Susquehanna Township.
Second.
Moved and seconded by Commissioner Engel. Any comments or questions? All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Should be a good day tomorrow. Yeah. Thank you.
Welcome.
Next up is the Resolution 25R07, which is this updating of our fee schedule. Kathleen, do you want to take that?
Sure. All right, good evening. Included in your binders is a copy of the 2025 fee schedule revision memo, which outlines the proposed changes to our 2025 township's schedule of fees. Since the adoption of the current fee schedule in December 13th of 2024, operational changes within the township have prompted a review of fees and calculation methods for various services. The proposed revisions include updates to our commercial building code fees, fees for food, massage, and amusement establishments that are currently operating without permits, fees for grading permit appeals and stormwater best management practice inspections, and minor text modifications for clarity and consistency. I'm welcome to any questions at the answer.
Okay. Well, if we can get a motion on the floor before we ask any questions.
Yes, Mr. President, so I'll second.
Moved by Commissioner Engel, seconded by Commissioner Rothrock. Any questions or comments? Very good. All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
President Lynch, may I just add, Kathleen's our stormwater person, and some people may ask, why is Kathleen doing the fee schedule? It's because that's what Kathleen does. She, those duties as assigned, well, it really wasn't assigned. She, asked if she could do it, volunteered to do it, and it is tedious work. So thank you, Kathleen, for taking the time to do that. It's very important.
Thank you.
It is important. Thank you. All right, consent agenda. There are 3 items. First, approve moving Tracy Eisman to the finance manager position effective 4/11/25. Her salary will be $77,250 per year. Number 2, approve moving Joe Hirsch into the customer service specialist position effective 5/1/25. Mr. Hirsch's salary will be $52,000 per year. And approve the resignation of Andrew J. Soma effective 4/15/25.
I move that we approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Rothrock, seconded Engel. Any comments or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Old business, Susquehanna Township pavement project. Mr. Greeley.
Thank you, Mr. President. Good evening, Commissioners. As you know, we recently bid out the 2025 paving contract. So HRG has reviewed the bids for the 2025 paving contract, which were received on April 15, 2025. The lowest responsible bid was submitted by Construction Masters Services in the amount of $583,822.25, including the base bid of $256,101.85, alternate 1 in the amount of $150,328.80, alternate 2 in the amount of $41,275, alternate 3 in the amount of $91,818.10, and alternate 4 in the amount of $34,298.80. HRG recommends the board award this contract to Construction Master Services LLC for a unit price bid amount of $583,822.55 to include the base bid and all 4 alternates that were included in the bid package. This would be conditioned upon complete review of the bid documentation by the township solicitor, execution of the agreement between the owner and contractor, receipt of the required insurance documents, receipt of acceptable performance and payment bonds, As a bit of information, these prices came in much, much lower than we anticipated, so thrilled about that. Our cost estimate was north of $750,000, so while I think we had 5 bids, all but one came well below that, so that's great news on our end. So it seems to be a pretty competitive market for paving contracts, so that certainly benefits the township.
Motion to accept.
I'll second.
Moved by Commissioner Sanderson, second by Commissioner Israel. Any comments?
Yeah, I'd like to offer one comment, if I may, on the last point you made. That is very impressive in terms of savings to the township, getting a contract at that competitive price. In fact, being on the Public Works Committee, my understanding is that we've been trying to target about $1 million worth of projects each year, although I know recently we talked about alternating and doing smaller projects to allow the money to last longer. I would hope and expected the fact that this came in so low, and even with our own estimate only at $750,000 for this year, that in a few of the future years that we could maybe find a few additional projects, because I know in the last few years we've had to not do certain projects because we just didn't have enough money. So it's nice to be on the other end this time, and as we move forward with the committee to try to see what we can do with some of these projects that are long overdue.
Yeah, certainly. So the township receives, I think, roughly about $849,000 in liquid fuels funds. So that is a little bit lower than what was presented. I think it was around $900,000 when we did the pavement assessment. So, and I think the trend is that it's decreasing as time goes on. So yeah, to be able to come up with a little extra going into the next year bankroll and little into next year, it's a good opportunity to maybe pursue some additional projects in the coming years.
Quick question for you, Alex. Now, on the alternates that you have listed here, 1 through 4, do we have a breakdown of those as far as plans are concerned? What areas they'll be doing? What areas do they cover?
Yep, I can say right. So the base bid was Wood Street from the sanitary paving, basically where the sanitary paving stops to Schoolhouse Lane.
Yep.
As well as Nottingham Way between Rustic Drive and Schoolhouse Lane. Alternate 1 was Schoolhouse Lane from Sylvan Place to the western approach of the bridge, right adjacent to the Lower Paxton Township line.
Yep.
And then alternate 3 was Penrose Street from Maple to Wood. And then alternate 4 was Locust Street from Schoolhouse to Schoolhouse. It's kind of just like a little cut through on a loop road. So it's cut it in the Pembroke area.
Okay.
Right behind the VFW.
Oh, yeah, gotcha.
Any other comments or questions?
Nope, that's it. Great job.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. New business, is there any? Hearing none. Commissioner comments? Hearing none.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion to adjourn by Commissioner Sanderson, seconded by Commissioner Israel. Comments or questions? All in favor?
One comment.
Oh, yeah. Hold
One
on.
comment. I just want to thank my Public Works guys for the job you guys did. I sent out photos to gentlemen on the Sewer Authority, but keep up the great work. I'd like to know, what was the savings to the township by not having, and you don't have to answer that tonight. What was the savings to the township by doing it in-house as opposed to contracting that work out? It's always a great report, how much we're saving. Thank you. We'll catch it next time. That's it, sir.
All right.
Thank you, guys.
Any other comments, questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We are out of here.